Well, I think it's clear that Duluth, unfortunately, has developed a reputation as a tough place to do business, right or wrong. That has become the conventional wisdom, and that conventional wisdom alone is holding us back, and we've kind of developed this sense of pessimism about our city, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I think as community leaders and business leaders, we need to address that core sense of who we are as and how we support business. And we need some real tangible successes in order to prove that things have changed. I think the development in downtown is a good first step. We also need to solve the retiree health care crisis and implement a new zoning code. And with those tangible successes, we can say, all right, Duluth has now changed, turned the corner, and we have systems in place in which environmentalists, in which labor and business can work together to better the city.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I think a big key to economic development policy is to take care of the ones that have been proven successes. And the growth of Cirrus, 200 new jobs since they expanded. North Star Aerospace doubling in size, 65 jobs. Epicurean division of True Ride growing with their cutting boards and all with their furniture. Take care of the people locally that are improving themselves as growth opportunities, and seizing other opportunities like the Northwest Airlines maintenance facility that we were able to turn from a $30 million liability into a $30 million opportunity. And we're courting Petters and Airbus and Lufthansa Technique to bring in hundreds of jobs that will be a wonderful growth opportunity for the city. Take care of your opportunities. Take care of those that are showing growth locally before you try to lure the big ticket in, because that's really, to me, that's a mistake. It's great to have new companies coming in, but to throw big incentives at them when you've got local growth working, it just doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
You know, one of the things I would like to point out, though, is that we may have this reputation of government getting in the way, and I think in some ways we do. But there have been a lot of successes over the years because of the partnerships between government and business and industry. I mean, Stora Enso didn't just happen.
True.
And the downtown development didn't just happen. Those were government working with the communities. But those also had what Charlie talks about as political implications and ramifications. There were people who had to move, and their homes were moved.
Slabtown, I think they called it.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah.
And so those are what we like to call political, but those are human beings, and those are people that are in our community, and we need to have that dialogue so that the disruptions that occur when there are developments are played out in a manner that everyone has their chance at the table.
Well,
and I think that's one of the things that we have not recognized, is that there are going to be pushes and shoves because there are different needs and wants. It isn't always all one or all the other, and just because there are differences doesn't necessarily mean that we're impeding progress. Maybe if we know that those differences will be there early on, we can deal with them before they become issues.
Okay, fair enough.
And
go ahead.
Just quickly, and I think that's the real key. Meg hit right on the head. Is the ability to address these issues early on and be able to respectfully disagree with one another, and not to have that damaged relationships or to get us in a place where it devolves into a shouting match. And too often that happens in Duluth, and then that's what people point to as the politics of our town and what gets in the way of true progress.
Okay.
But it also depends on an organized venue. The city needs to know, and the people need to know in a community, what the city's going to do.
What our vision is.
What our vision is, but the city's role in economic development. What's the city's role? And I think it should be clearly stated.
Okay, I want to come back to that, but I saw John wanting to jump in. You had spoken.
Sure. Thank you. All of these candidates have valid perspectives. My perspective is similar to theirs, although the citizens' concerns are paramount here. If businesses are to develop, then the citizens are to promote that development. If it's good with the citizens, it'll be good for businesses. And the citizens should be the primary perspective here. The citizens always promote the businesses in off seasons, during tourist seasons. The citizens will always be that integral part of their success. And you have to look to their success first, and then everything else after that will prosper in its own way.
Okay. You know, I've thought about this, just an observation that I've had in the 30 years, plus years that I've lived here. I've seen a lot of money spent to lure people here. And it's like we were always trying to become someone else, some other city that had this or that. And we never stopped to look around seriously. And maybe that's what a guest to Duluth, I mean, my kids are Duluthians, but I'm a guest, I'm from Ely. A guest can look around and can see the tremendous resources that we have here. And how can we develop those resources? I mean, we have an incredible citizenry that are very talented. We have a tremendous artistic community that spread throughout Duluth and northeastern Minnesota. How can that be of an advantage? Local entrepreneurialism, working with NRRI as a prime example. How can we add value to our resources, whether they be products or just the natural resources that we have? I also think, just very quickly, that it's hard to lure anybody anywhere when they find out that there's so much dissension and so much of the infrastructure of Duluth that is really in tough shape. We've got to clean up the city's primary services and present a very, very healthy government policy that whoever moves here knows that we're doing a good job at what we are responsible of doing, first and foremost, and I think that's core service.
So you're a gardener, you told me that earlier.
I am.
And when you transplant a plant, you spend $2 in the plant and $5 in the hole. I think that's the rule of thumb, isn't it, to amend the soil?
I certainly will check with my wife on that.
Okay.
If you haven't seen his house, you know he is a good guy.
Well, but isn't there, Charlie, getting back to some of that, isn't there some of the issue here is that oftentimes the city gets in the way of business development? I did live somewhere else for a while too. I was a guest down in the Twin Cities for 17 and a half years. And it never seemed to me that we had those kind of issues. Now, we had other issues. We were growing at such a tremendous rate that the schools couldn't keep up. My kids switched schools every year, it seemed, simply because, you know, they were just packed. I mean, those were the opposite problems that we have. So what are the issues that hold us back? You talk about this dissension. You know, you can't lure people to this area unless there's dissension, or because of dissension. How do we get beyond that, and how does that translate into business climate?
Well, you know, one of the things Charlie talks about, the importance of dividing the role of government. He just says the role of the city.
City
I
hall.
think of
City
the
hall.
city, but
City hall.
the role of government, and you know, certainly the role of government is to provide the basic services. And if we're not capable of providing the basic services, and if our basic services are deteriorating and people don't feel that, you know, they can drive on the streets, or they can
There's some of that.
have water, you know, a safe source of water, etc. They're not going to want to be here. They're not going to want to invest their money. And so key, and I agree with Sonny, is that government's role first. I mean, it's wonderful to go out and cut the ribbon.
Yeah.
But the first role is to make sure that the sewers are there. And, you know, I mentioned Stora Enso earlier. Had they not had the ability to tap into this huge water resource,
Right.
and be able to get a good deal on their water, they probably wouldn't be here.
And energy.
And their energy.
Right.
And we have all kinds of potential. I mean, I'm really excited about the kinds of things that people are putting together at the Night Creative Communities and the Northeast, the Community Foundation, and all of those ideas that are perking up.
Yes.
You know, government doesn't think up these ideas. People think up these ideas, and government has to provide the environment in which it can continue to move forward.
Okay.